All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to BankSocial Sessions Live. We have been gone for a little bit, have not been on video, but we are back, and we have a really special session for you guys with Carlo D'Angelo as our special guest. Welcome, Carlo.
Thank you for having me. Always happy to collaborate with the Bank Social crew. And I know we're going to be talking about some exciting things we're going to be doing together. So I'm excited to join the conversation. Thank you.
Amazing. We're excited to have you. And we also have John Wingate, CEO. Everybody, you guys know John, and Donald Burke, who you guys have met a couple of times. Hi, Donald. Hi, John.
Afternoon. I think it's
Hey, how's
afternoon
it going, everybody?
for most.
It is afternoon. Well, cool. So we have quite a few people that are on. We'll, as we're waiting for people to get on before we get into any questions, let's have Carlo introduce himself. John, you and Carlo are going to be doing live sessions every Friday, live spaces. So kind of wanted to introduce Carlo to the community. Hopefully all of you tune in tomorrow morning at 8:30 Central. So yeah, Carlo, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background and about stablecoin solutions.
Thank you. So I'm Carlo D'Angelo. I'm founder and consultant of stablecoinsolutions.io. I have been a lawyer for approximately just over 25 years, former law professor, have been practicing law in the crypto space for about 5 years, done some advising of startups, and done some work with respect to criminal prosecution of cases involving cryptocurrencies and regulatory violations and advising clients in that sector. And I started Stablecoin Solutions in August, shortly after passage of the Genius Act, because I saw immediately what the possibilities were of a fully regulated stablecoin under the Genius Act. And after talking to a number of community banks and seeing that they were completely off guard as to what's about to happen to their sector, I decided that this is a place where I need to jump in and bring value.
And also, you know, John and you are going to be doing this spaces every Friday morning. And I know that it's around stablecoins, but can you kind of tell us a little bit more about the spaces and what the community can expect when they tune in?
For sure. So, like John, I've been in crypto and all over social media, especially on X, for a long time. I've done hundreds, if probably at this point, thousands of Twitter spaces. And I used to host one called LexLine, which talked about the latest developments in crypto law, regulatory. I've probably covered every major event in crypto over the last 4 years when it comes from the legal and regulatory side. So, in talking with John, I decided it is time for us to start really educating the community. And I thought that the Stablecoin Solutions show, a weekly Twitter space. I'm so used to saying Twitter, so just excuse that. But a weekly X space, which we're going to run every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we're doing it old school X spaces format. And we're hoping to bring the community together on a weekly basis to sort of recap what the earth shattering developments are in stablecoins, because there's literally a new development every day, if not every hour. And keeping up with all of this kind of serves my selfish need because I have to keep up with it anyway, but it gives me a chance to teach this stuff and to help onboard people to the power of what stablecoins can do to consumers, to banks, to businesses, and to family offices.
Love it. So, excuse me, I think I said 8:30. So 9 a.m. Eastern.
Eastern.
Okay, perfect.
8 a.m. our time.
Perfect. Okay. And John, do you have anything you want to add there? Any teasers, what they can expect?
Yeah, I think we see a lot of happenings. Things are happening very very fast right now. I think just last week, um, Vast Bank and Uphold made a big announcement. Vantage Bank and Custodia
Yep.
Bank made a big announcement. Shopify made a huge announcement about how stable coins are 5% of their total volume of payments now. MasterCard just bought Zero Hash. I mean, there's so much going on from week to week. Some of it is noise that we're hearing, and we give our thoughts on that just so we can kind of talk through how the space is evolving. But I mean, just yesterday, Solana and Western Union had a big announcement, right? here's some people talking about how they think that's too little, too late, or that those legacies. You can't doubt that these guys are now in the mix and they're leveraging these types of solutions. And yeah, ultimately clarity and what chains are going to win, what solutions are going to win. I think it's interesting. I heard some noise. Talk about it tomorrow, but we could tell. Have you beefed up on that, Carlo? Have you beefed up on the selling and seen what the
Yeah,
noise is around that?
I'm actually one of the voices that is saying it's probably a little bit too late. I put out a spicy little thread today on X talking about is this indeed a stable coin, or is this going to be Western Union's Kodak moment? I kind of
That's
premised it
right.
off.
I
Look,
saw
they're a
that.
legacy brand, just like Kodak. They've been doing the movement of money around the world for a long time on antiquated rails and charging what I think are excessive fees. And stablecoins have been around and have been a viable solution for some time, although not fully regulated. So I was sort of testing the waters here by saying, is this going to be a real stablecoin? And is this actually going to save the company? Because look, they've got a vast network, and I know we'll get into this debate, but they also have challenges and headwinds. Their stock has not performed very well. They're definitely being outpaced by other stablecoin providers for moving money around the world, and they've got a lot of catching up to do.
That's exactly right. I mean, the odd part here is that how much different is having their own stable coin versus having their own database where they were moving money on databases for the last 25, 30 years. What all of a sudden now they've switched it to, they've named their database a stable coin, and now all of a sudden the magic starts to emanate from the servers and something magical happens. Yeah, I kind of see it the way you do, Carlo. And I did read that, the Kodak moment. Yeah, I don't want to go. I won't go that far. I'll let you take that position, and I'll take more of the. I don't know that it's a counterpoint, but I'll take maybe more of a conservative position. But certainly I don't see that outside of just an announcement and a marketing announcement. But I do think things like Mastercard buying Zero Hash,
Yeah.
that's huge. Things like that are cementing kind of. I know Mastercard has been really, really forward thinking in the crypto space. They started pivoting to identity and open banking probably 2.5, 3 years ago. Probably some very smart moves on their behalf. But yeah, we'll get into all that and more on the stablecoin solutions. But to echo what Carlo was saying earlier about all these banks and credit unions and community banks and cooperative financial institutions, there's just been a immediate barrage of information that may not be relevant to what's going on now, or maybe it was good information 6 months ago, but because things are changing so fast, the Genius Act itself took a lot of those things that were being speculated and thrown around. And at the very end, ma'am, sorry, I'm just landed from Money 2020. We'll talk about that and the great conversations we
Yes,
had
I
there.
want to
But
hear all about that.
well, that was amazing. I can tell you that everything that was on the primary discussion point was DLT, stable coins, tokenized deposits, in crypto. I mean, if you weren't talking about it, you weren't having conversations. Let's just put it that way. Like, I don't think there were very many other conversations happening. The entire conference was, I think a lot of the zeitgeist of what was going on is tied to the kinds of the types of use cases we're seeing in the market. So a lot of international payments discussions, but the lead was followed very closely by AI as a very close second. But outside of those two things, nothing else was being discussed. And we met with from the likes of Visa to Mastercard to with their executive teams over there to get a good understanding of not only how our partnership is flourishing with them, but where their eyes are, where they see these roads. And I'm gonna get on video for a second, but where they see these roads converging, where they see these tools starting to play a big role. And they're already committed. Thank you so much. They're already committed to these to these experiences, to these systems, to these tools. I think I've never seen as many banks and community banks and credit unions asking about, how crypto, how stable coins, launching their own stable coins, launching consortium stable coins, and then to have right in the middle of it, MasterCard by Zero Hash just further accentuates just how deep everybody's in on this kind of open crypto future. And I think the even more interesting thing was that we were hearing about public chains even more than we were before. A lot of people, over the years have kind of shifted to utilizing private chains, but the universal sentiment, which I thought was very interesting and very telling about just how mainstream public chains have come, was that people were openly discussing deploying stablecoins. And then, I mean, look at what Western Union did. It deployed on a public chain. You know,
Solana.
yeah, Solana. And look at what Fed Waller said the other day. I don't think it gets any more telling than what Fed Waller said about being able to utilize these systems because they're ready for prime time. They've been around for a long time. They're ready for prime time. The Fed is now, lightening and loosening. SEC is now lightening and loosening.
Yep.
OCC, CFPB, everybody is on board to allow these future systems to proliferate.
Look, you're not saying anything that I haven't heard from other sources. My good friend Scott Melker, who hosts the crypto town hall known as the Wolf of All Streets, he was at that conference. He actually interviewed Saylor on the main stage, and he basically shared the same feedback on the crypto town hall, where he was talking about the fact that that was like the predominant thing. Stablecoins were being talked about in every corner of the conference. Eleanor Tarrant, who does Crypto in America, one of the greatest, I think one of the top journalists in crypto, also had commented after attending the conference that stablecoins was top of mind in the conversation. It is definitely the meta of this cycle, and everybody's trying to figure out a way to get into stablecoins. And I agree with you. I like that they are looking to do it on existing, reliable, battle tested L1s, because having your own proprietary internal chain is not a stablecoin in my estimation. That's just a modified depository token that's inside your ecosystem. And if this is truly going to gain network adoption, it has to be a plug and play that can be done over a resilient and high latency chain, because stablecoins are going to be moving throughout every facet of the economy. This is the disaggregation of banking, credit cards, and the universal movement of money in all forms as we know it. And it is happening so fast, breakneck speed.
Oh yeah, I mean, didn't the Mastercard, or one of the two, I think it was Mastercard, they announced that the account number, the PAN, that the account number is going away for credit cards. They'll no longer have accounts in them or account numbers in them. I think what they're going to do is they're going to go to cryptographic wallets. They're going to start tying this stuff to these public chains. And it was very, very interesting. A lot of really interesting conversations continue to happen, and I think it's just a testament to this no longer being early, kind of an early cycle anymore. We are now deep in the thick of it, Carlo. I think everybody's here, and like you said, everybody's clamoring to find out where the proper fit for them is going to be.
And look, we've had some incredible and innovative products come down the line. Our friend Caitlin Long, through Custodia Bank, as you mentioned, has launched a really innovative tech stack that she's patented. She's partnered with Vantage Bank. It's not yet live, but what she's done is nothing short of amazing in that she's created, and I'd love to get your take because you are a dev. She's created a token that's able to seamlessly move from a depository token with FDIC and all the banking regulation protections baked into it, and then seamlessly move to a stablecoin without having to do any kind of a wallet transfer, all on the same token. And this is an incredible development, because one of the challenges we have in the industry as far as getting businesses, banks, credit unions, consumers, anyone to be comfortable with stablecoins is to break this notion that this is just another crypto token, that this is something that's going to be subject to market volatility and scamming and fraud. And now, when you've got a product that is basically a digital dollar that's going to be able to move seamlessly like that, I am really curious to see how that's going to work in practice.
Well, I could tell you how it's going to work in practice because we've been doing it for 2 years now. You know, we actually launched the first depository account to instant mint of a stable coin at a bank years ago, and so.
Oh, you're breaking up. I'll fill in on this while he's getting reconnected. He's probably
I think we're going to
transferring
see.
from his car piece
Sorry,
to.
there we go. Am I
You're
back?
back on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were
Am
transitioning
I
to your
back?
car.
Yeah, there you go. No, I don't know what happened, but you know, where did I cut off?
So
I'm
you were
always
talking
cutting
about the
off.
fact that you had launched that first token. The thing that's interesting about what she's
Right.
doing is
So we know.
she kind of hinted this, that her token is grandfathered pre-Genius Act. That's also an interesting thing. But I want to learn more about what you're doing on BankSocial and educate me about how this actually works, because I'm really curious.
We might
The
have
joys of travel.
yeah, or we might have a delay. John, let us know when you can hear us.
The beauty of going live. Yeah, look, that is one of many innovations that's coming down the pipe.
Can you guys
that has
hear me?
Really, yes, yes. Can you talk now?
We can hear you, John. I don't know if you can hear us though. Yeah, I think he's getting situated. So he just landed. Him and Becky just flew in from Vegas for Money 2020. So let's see. But yeah,
Oh,
Carlo,
man.
if you want to take it until he jumps back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm excited to see all of the innovations that are happening right now, and it is all ahead of the actual full regulatory rollout of compliant stablecoins under the Genius Act, because it was passed into law in July, and we don't yet have the regulatory framework in place. We don't yet have the application process, but we have no shortage of people announcing that they're launching stablecoins. And I think what they're all hoping is that they're going to be Genius Act compliant, and that when this actually all goes live, that they're not going to get, dinged or tagged with any sort of out of compliance token. So we're seeing a deluge of stablecoins being launched across every conceivable protocol, chain, and everyone's getting very creative with this stuff. I am excited to learn how we can integrate this into businesses, most importantly, because there's a real opportunity there for businesses who are bleeding out money to banks to move money on ACH. It is slow. It is antiquated. I'll give you an example. A couple of days ago, I had opened an account with a new bank. This is a top 10 major bank. And I was visiting the branch because I needed to send a wire, needed to send an ACH to a centralized crypto exchange so I could buy more Bitcoin. And, there were delays in the bank. I had to sit in that little lobby that every bank has now, where you've got to wait for your turn to get called. They were backed up. Had to wait for the wire to get processed. There's always questions about what to put on the wire form. Is this the correct address? Is this the correct name? Is this the correct so-and-so? And I'm just thinking to myself, man, there's such a better way to do this now. Wallet address, hit send, and it's done. You don't have to pay those fees. You don't have to worry about those delays, and you don't have to go to the bank to physically do it or pick up the phone and do it. You can move it so much faster. And then as soon as I sent it, I, of course, got the fraud protection call. Had to spend 20 minutes on a call explaining, yes, I want to send it to a centralized exchange. Yes, I want to buy crypto. Yes, I've bought crypto before. Yes, I understand the risk involved in buying crypto. They even asked me what crypto I was planning to buy. And this whole process is just going to be disaggregated and disrupted in a way that we have never seen before. And I sit every time I go to the bank, I'm curious to always do this with the boots on the ground, with the people that are in the banks. I always ask them, are you all ready for stable coins? And they all tell me, we've heard about them, but we haven't gotten any direction from on high.
Right.
And these are major banks.
Or-
So there's so much education we need to do. There is so much still that needs to be done to educate people about what this can do to liberate them.
Right. And I think, John, if you are on, I don't know if you can hear us.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. So if you want to expand, Carlo was kind of going into his own experience, but if you heard him before, he's curious about what we're doing and how this works in practice, considering not a lot of people are compliant and are actually doing this in the real world.
Exactly. Yeah, I really want to know, John, what's going on under the hood?
Well, I missed what you said there about Caitlin, but this is what we've been doing in practice for years. We worked early on with the with the McHenry Waters bill. And then of course, throughout the creation of the Genius Act and the stable, right? There were actually two, right, Carlo? There were two competing kind of pieces of legislation
Yep.
that were being worked on at the same time. One was called the stable something, and then the Genius Act. And the Genius Act is the one
Exactly.
that ended up being the one that made it. But throughout this whole time, our whole goal was to make stablecoin operations interoperable at the core level. So at the banking core level, where your deposit accounts are held, kind of full cycle, end to end. Somebody comes in, they've got $1 in their bank account, their FDIC insured bank account, and seamlessly right on the core without move that to a stable coin and then utilize that in payment operations, in DeFi operations, in liability moves to other financial institutions. We've been doing that for years now. And so in practice, the key component of how that becomes an actual working thing is in that connectivity to the core, in the way we've integrated directly into the Jack Henrys, the Fiservs, the FISs, the Finastras, the correlations. That is the key component to making this work. I mean, at the end of the day, either it's legal or it's illegal. It doesn't matter what technologies we're using, but to make this truly seamless, to make this to where it can replace credit cards, right? To make this to
Yep.
where it can replace P2P, money sends, to make this where it plays loan servicing, where money's moving, money becomes a liability of another institution. Really, to be able to do all those things, that core piece, spinning up stable coins from a technology perspective, a thing to do. The GL, it's all about the compliance. It's all you need to get a CPA to do all of your audits. But, those are the things that in the Genius Act, at least, and there's a period of time, I think, where your grandfather, there's lighter restrictions and what it'll be like in a couple of years. But for this to truly proliferate the integrations into the core systems and to make those bank accounts, and this is where I think there's a use case for tokenized deposits, Carlo, is right alongside, eventually do core systems become something wholly different as well, where they are really wallet systems, and the wallet and the core ledgering, the account ledgering function is just a matter of what token being represented and what. So that as being, and that's why we focused heavily on the banking integrations, because it's not just for the stable coin. That also goes for Bitcoin, right? Like having a Bitcoin wallet tied to your bank account. But with stable coins, you get this whole new dynamic, right? They're now legal. They're now legal tender. Like technically, a stable coin is now like I could see in the next 3 to 5 years where that extension of legal tender, it has to be redeemable.
Right.
All the things that for legal tender. So it's all the liquidity tied up in the core infrastructure, and it's making that seamlessly interoperable for even you can see what some of these companies like who's the credit card Rain. So Rain Visa cards, but loads them with stable coins. And so we can very quickly see a scenario where even the plastic card. I mean, we had this really big discussion with a bunch of really large CEOs a couple maybe like a week and a half ago, and the biggest kind of hurdle left for complete tap to pay, which means completely within on your device in your digital banking app, paying from your we're just like restaurants bring tap to pays away from our whole being tap to pay like it is in Europe. So, there are certainly a few more hurdles to get through from a complete adoption standpoint where stablecoins are really be able to use in every part of commerce. But we are closer now than we have ever been.
So this excites me because let's say I bring you a business. I get a client who wants to
And
totally
is anybody
revamp
talking?
their. Can
Are
you
we
hear
all
me?
waiting for me to talk more?
Oh, no. John, you might have a delay. Can you hear us? Carla was
Is it
speaking.
frozen?
It might be
Oh,
frozen on your end. Go
the
ahead, Carla.
travel gods are not smiling upon us right now.
There you go. Go ahead, Carla. Sorry about that.
So this excites me because this is exactly what I need I need a facilitator for a business that wants to totally turn around how they process payments, how they pay vendors, how they move money, how they handle payroll. And when those businesses do that internally, obviously they've got to change their protocols. They've got to reach agreements with their customers, with their vendors, with their service providers that they're going to pay them and they're going to receive payments in stable coins. And that is one aspect of it. You've got to be in regulatory compliance. You've got to understand it from a tax perspective, from an auditing perspective, but you also have to have a reliable, trustworthy tech stack behind it. And it's not as simple as just putting someone in a decentralized wallet, filling that wallet with stable coins and saying, okay, run with it. It's not that easy. You've got to still be integrated somewhat within the banking rails in order to make this stuff work on a practical basis for business. Now, we talked about credit cards. Credit card industry is in trouble, and let's just call it what it is. After stablecoins, there are really only two functional use cases for credit cards. Number one, to have credit, because stablecoins are instant one-to-one pegged, meaning the moment you spend it, it has to be backed by a dollar, so you cannot spend your stablecoins on credit, and it's going to be redeemed for a dollar. So credit cards still have somewhat of an advantage because they're advancing you credit to spend, and they're charging you obviously huge interest rates for that luxury, but also the ability to reverse transactions that are due to fraud. These two things still have value when it comes to credit cards, but from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense anymore to continue to accept consumer payments with credit cards and have to pay that 3% credit card fee when you can simply add a toggle onto your website that says that you accept stablecoins, and you can receive that payment instantly for pennies, and you don't have to go through an intermediary like a credit card company. Now, John had talked about how close we are. I signed up for the Coinbase credit card, and it was seamless. Never got a plastic card. I think that is absolutely a thing of the past. I loaded it into my Apple Wallet. I can look at it from the mainframe on Coinbase, and I can make a payment towards the outstanding balance on that credit card with stablecoins. So we're getting close. And what you all are building with BankSocial is going to be an important bridge to this, because if I'm trying to onboard a family office, or if I'm trying to onboard a business, one of the biggest pain points is going to be, well, I don't trust crypto. I prefer to be with my bank. So to be able to say, look, you're going to be in a bank ecosystem. You're okay. You're going to be in a bank ecosystem, but we're going to offer you a different way of moving your money around that's going to be easier for you to track. It's going to eliminate all the time delays that come with the traditional ways that you've been moving your money around. And you can still have the safety and security of knowing that this is a fully regulated, fully audited stablecoin. That's the thing that excites me about this, because this is actually bringing tremendous value to people in a way that we really haven't been able to do with traditional cryptocurrencies to date.
Yep, I think that's the key. It's something that's been much more widely accepted and much more quickly with stable coins versus crypto. So I think we lost John for a little bit, but I wanted to, before we lose you, I wanted to see, I'll open it up if there's any quick questions. I want to save the questions for when you guys are live tomorrow, so I don't want to go like too deep.
Sure.
But if the community has any questions, if you guys want to leave any in the comments, we can take a couple. And then, you know, as far as the community goes, Carlo, like if you could leave them with one piece of advice, something that they can take with them. I've heard some of the things that I know, like your stack. I forgot exactly. Maybe that might be it. But if you can leave them with a piece of advice or just something kind of to hold on to until the next, you know, talk that you guys give or the next session, what would it be?
For sure. Don't sit on your hands with this technology. I think now is the time to strike, because you want to be ahead of the puck when it comes to this stuff. You want to be testing this technology. And I tell people when I try to pitch this to them that, look, we don't have to go full on ham with everything stablecoins. We can start simply. We can simply start by setting you up. And I like the opportunity to set you up through BankSocial. So that's a great thing. That's a great way that we can collaborate. I want to set you up with a wallet, and let's start by just doing some test transactions. Let's go wallet to wallet with a stable coin so you can get comfortable with this. And then let's maybe reach out to one of your vendors and say, hey, here's a short agreement where we're going to agree that I'm going to pay you in stable coins. If you need help setting that wallet up, we can help you get that wallet set up, and we can start moving money back and forth, and we can break the traditional rails that we've been dependent on for so long. So the last thing I'll say about this, which is the most exciting thing for me, is I really believe that stablecoins are going to be the Trojan horse that's going to onboard millions of wallets into crypto. Because once people get comfortable with having these apps on their phone and at the tap, like John had said, to be able to pay for things or to send money without having to waste time going to the bank and calling and waiting to see if it cleared. Once consumers get comfortable with moving those digital dollars at the speed of the internet, they're then going to be comfortable going into other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And that's where we're truly going to accomplish what we were unable to do with cryptocurrencies alone, which is bring the quote normies into crypto. Because once they see digital dollars moving that easily, they're going to understand the other empowering things that can be done with blockchain technology. And then your wallet will be your bank.
Love it. All right. I love it. I do, you know, some of these questions that are coming through are more for BankSocial. So as far as any information on Secura Essentials, that is live and in app. So you guys are able to purchase there. If you have any questions around the actual service, you can go into our verified chat. Someone will get back to you right away and they can walk you through the actual essential service. Also feel free to like DM, if you DM me on X, I'll be able to send you information as well. And then as far as the credit unions that we're working with, the number is, you know, hard to say an exact number. There's, if you Google BankSocial and credit unions, to be honest with you, you can find a lot of information there. Because of our service, I would say we're partnered with a lot of credit unions and also partnered with a lot of credit union service providers. So there's a few different ways we can give you those numbers. But if you want to go to a credit union, we've had CU Texas that's been on before, where you're able to buy crypto directly through their digital banking, and Lookout Credit Union. Beyond that, we're not going to really share the credit unions we work with live unless they want to share it. So those are two great credit unions to start with. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining in. Carlo, it's going to be exciting tomorrow morning. Everybody tune in 9 Eastern. I'll drop something on X so everybody can just jump on in. But yeah, thank you so much. It was great having you on.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the Bank Social community. I look forward to doing a lot more of these and working hand in glove with you to get stablecoins onboarded. So really excited to be working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, guys.